Hello friends, welcome to SavanKnits. This is my knitting podcast and I love to talk about all the things that I'm knitting that are bringing me joy. But today I am going to talk about 6 summer tees that I want to make this spring and summer, as well as a few honorable mentions of tees that I could get to if I finish those first 6. Who knows how long I will want to knit tees for, but I am very excited to knit tees. I really love the process of doing it. I enjoyed it last year, and this year I just feel so inspired to start cranking them out. So let's get into it. I also want to ask you guys a question relating to spring and summer if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. If you're not, that's okay too. I want to know what you want to cast on next. Since I will be talking about all the tees that I want to cast on next, I want to know what you also want to cast on. So comment below, let me know what you want to cast on, and then we can get some different ideas off of each other and maybe create a really good resource for other people looking for new patterns for this warmer season or colder season if you are in the Southern Hemisphere. So as I said, I'm going to split this into 2 parts. The first part is I have 6 tees that I for sure want to make that I have the yarn for. My plans are pretty solid for these 6, of course subject to change as my mood depends. And then I have a couple of honorable mentions of tees that I definitely want to make in the future, but I don't know if I will get to this year, but I thought I would share them in case you wanted some more inspiration as well. So the first one is actually a work in progress already, so if you watch my podcast videos, you know about this one. This is the plain Yoke Tee 20 by Lynette. This is it says worsted on Ravelry, but it's a 20 stitch gauge by 29 rows. So that's more of a DK weight gauge in my opinion. So I would recommend a more DK weight yarn to knit this tee with. Knit it with 4mm needles. It goes from an extra small to a 5XL, so a 61-inch finished circumference. And she is using a cotton, viscose, and linen blend, and it is a circular yoke tee, very simple. It has rolled down edges on the neckline, the sleeves, and the hem of the shirt. And this is my first time doing a circular yoke, and I have many more circular yoke sweaters planned for this fall. So I wanted to do a tee version just so I could get the construction down, kind of see what it is like, and it is very simple. So I will show you what I have. I am using Noro Uchiwa in Matsumoto, color number 9. And it is this navy blue that also has some green and pink in there. And I mentioned before that it is a little bit of a self-striping yarn. So I am alternating skeins to make the stripes less contrasty and more marling and ombre. So this is what I have so far. It's looking fabulous. It's fitting great too. I am knitting a size 4, which is a medium, which is usually a size down from what I normally knit because my swatch grew when I blocked it. So I think that this will fit really great after blocking. So this is the first tee that I'm making, and honestly it's going by really fast, so I'm sure I'll be able to get this done rather quickly. The next tee that I want to make is the Riley tee by Rachel Kurihara. This is a DK weight saddle shoulder construction. It has some really cool sleeve details with the saddle shoulder of some twisted rib that goes down the side into the sleeve, which I really enjoy. As I said, DK weight pattern, 20 stitch gauge by 28 rows, 4.5mm needles, and it is a circumference, finished circumference of, let's see, 33 inches to 65 inches. With 3 to 5 inches of positive ease. And I am going to be using this Knit Picks Animation DK Weight. And this is the color Clarity, which is just a very silvery white yarn. And I think that this yarn is supposed to be used for like crocheted stuffed animals, but it was on a really good sale when they had that $2 a ball sale back Black Friday. It is a 100% mercerized cotton, and I think I chose this because in the sample photos of the Riley tee, hers has that kind of gray, maybe almost shiny look, so I feel like this would be a great pair with this pattern. So I was thinking about casting this one on next, but my hands are hurting a little bit from the cotton in the Noro yarn for the plain Yoke Tee 20. So I might take a break and come back to this one, but this one is definitely for sure want to make. I love the boxy style of this. I love the folded hems on the neckline and the sleeves and the hem of the body. I think it looks really classic and beautiful, and I would also add length. I don't want it as cropped as this, but I have plenty of yarn to do that. So I am excited to make this one as well. The next tee that I want to make is the Lumo by Rania Hakaleto, and it comes from her book Lakeside Stitches. And this tee is a colorwork yoke fingering weight tee, which I have never done a colorwork project in a round yoke construction before, so that will be new for me, but I'm excited. Light fingering, the gauge is 24 stitches by 33 rows. Use a 3.5 millimeter needle. She used Filcolana Arvetta, and I will be using Knitting for Olive. This tee goes from 36 inches to 64 inches. I will show you the yarn that I'm going to use. I am going to be using this one for the main color, which is Knitting for Olive and Blue Tit, and then the contrast colors will be these two in Ochre Brown and Marzipan. So using, let's see, these three, I think they will look really well together. Very excited to make this, and I know that, you know, this is going to be a wool project with colorwork as well, so I wouldn't say it's a summer garment, but I definitely could get a lot of wear out of it in spring and in late fall when it does get a little bit chilly, but it still is breathable because it has short sleeves. And I just love, love, love me some colorwork, and I knew that I couldn't go the whole summer without doing a colorwork project, so this will be my colorwork project. And I do need a little bit of a break because I just finished a huge all over fingering weight colorwork sweater, so whenever I get the urge to do some colorwork, I will cast this one on. The next tee that I want to make is the Fleur Tee by Brianna Mason. Of her shop is called Woolbird. Had a fuzzy in my eye. This is a fingering weight top. I'm pretty sure it's worked bottom up, which I'm not super pleased about, but I absolutely love this pattern, so I think I'm okay with it. I love the lace on it. This is fingering weight 30 stitches by 40 rows, and you work it on 2.5 millimeter needles, which sounds so small. This tee is going to take me forever, but I know it's going to be worth it. Absolutely worth it. It has a finished bust measurement of 29¼ inches to 61¼ inches, and it's designed to have 2 to 3 inches of negative ease, and I think I might do some positive ease actually, because I don't super love negative ease on me, so I am imagining I'll probably try to do neutral ease, and then when it blocks it'll probably give me another 1 inch of positive ease. So that is the current plan for that. I'm going to be using Drops Fable, and this is the color 121. I think it's called Wheat. I think it will look really, really pretty. I really like when there's a lacy garment, I like to do a lighter color, And I feel like even though this is a wool and polyamide blend, it will still be really breathable because of the smaller gauge and obviously the lace. So still that breathability, and I think it will look fantastic. And I am also planning on adding length to this. I don't love super cropped things, so I'll also be planning on that, and hopefully it's not too big of a hassle to figure that out with a bottom up garment. I'll just add a couple of inches as I'm working bottom up, and I think it will work out great. The next one that I want to make is the Minto Tee by Magdalena Parker of Knitonomy. This is a fingering weight drop shoulder garment with cables all over it, and it has a gauge of 26 stitches and 38 rows worked on a 3.5mm needle. It has a finished breast circumference of 34 inches to 69 inches. And I really like the idea of having a more blousey, oversized type shirt. Obviously with the cables, it will make this shirt warmer. It also has longer sleeves, so definitely more of a spring or a fall knit. And I will be using, again, Drops Fable, and I think this color is called Mustard, but it's 111. And I used to be very against mustard yellow, but I think it's a color that would look good on me, so I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone with this one, and I think the cables will look really, really good in this mustard yellow color. So this one, I think that I might cast this one on closer to the end of summer, just because this color and the cables remind me of fall, and I think that this would do well as a fall tee. But obviously that's subject to change. Whenever I'm in the mood for it, I can cast it on, and I'm just excited for the classy look that it will bring, and when I want to dress up more, that will be perfect for my wardrobe. The last plan that I have is the Lusk Tee by Rebecca Clove, the Crayabea. This pattern is not out yet. I think it will come out sometime in May, and I don't know a lot about this pattern because it's not out yet, but I know that there will be a fingering weight version and a DK version of this tee. It is a drop shoulder version of her Aosta tee, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've heard of her talking about it in her podcast episodes on YouTube. And I really love the simplicity of it, and it looks like it has great fit. My issue with the Aosta tee is that I feel like the neckline would be too wide for me, and so I really like that this version has a closer crew neck type of neckline, and it doesn't use that much yarn. I looked at the yarn quantities when she had her testing call open, and I would only need about 3 skeins of hand-dyed yarn to make this tee, and I love knitting with hand-dyed yarn, but I can't always afford to knit with hand-dyed yarn. And so I'm always on the lookout for a pattern that doesn't use a lot of it, but that showcases the yarn and is simple enough that the yarn is the focus of that garment instead of, you know, a pattern or a stitch pattern or anything like that. So I feel like this Lusk Tee perfectly fits that, and I am very excited to use this yarn that I've been holding on to for a while, trying to find the perfect project for. This is Treehouse Knits. This is her Dove DK base, and this is the color In Bloom, which is this cool toned purple, pink, cream, variegated yarn. Very, very love this yarn. So as soon as that pattern comes out, I will be casting on for sure. Very excited to make it, very excited to be finally using this yarn. I will for sure be alternating skeins as well to make sure that the color pooling is minimal, and hopefully it's a great pattern. I don't think I've ever knit a Rebecca Clove pattern, which is crazy because most of her patterns are so lovely and so versatile, but I need to experience them for myself. Those are all of my concrete summer and spring knitting plans. Now let's mention some honorable mentions. I will be going to a fiber festival in a couple weeks, and I really want to find some bright pink yarn, kind of like the tee that I'm wearing, but maybe a little bit more saturated pink. I also forgot to say that I am wearing the Aosta Summer Top by the Knit Pro Girl. And what yarn did I use? I think it's Hobie 8x8 cotton, something like that. And I'm going through a pink phase. I love pink. So I want to find a really bright, maybe speckly, variegated pink yarn to make a tee out of. Just a very fun summer tee. And hopefully I can find a pink that will work well with my hair. If not, I might just make it anyways because it's going to bring me a lot of joy, even if it does clash. So I have some patterns that I'm thinking about. Obviously, if it's a super variegated yarn, I would choose a pattern that doesn't have any lace or cables or obviously colorwork or anything like that. If the yarn is variegated, I want the pattern to be very basic so that the yarn can shine. But here are some tees that I've been eyeing that I want to make in the future. If I find the perfect yarn, I would definitely love to try them. The first one is the Lanikai Summer Tee by SavanKnits. This is a fingering weight tee that's a circular yoke with a lace pattern, kind of 3 stripes of lace on the yoke, and I think it's really pretty, really airy. It has a gauge of 22 stitches by 28 rows. So definitely could do either a light fingering or just a normal fingering. For that, it uses a 3.5 millimeter needle, and it has a bust circumference ranging from 39 inches to 65 inches. Let's see if the positive ease, 20 to 25 centimeters. Don't know what that is in inches, but that is quite a lot of positive ease, I would say. So I think it's one of those patterns that you could choose how much positive ease you want, obviously, with any pattern. And I think I would also like to do this one in a lighter color, maybe a light pink or even just a cream. As I said, whenever there's lace, I really like to do a lighter color, so the lace isn't like super popping out, so you can't see the holes as much in the lace. I think that's why I like to do a lighter color. So yeah, that's an option. And then the next one is the Sabrina V-Neck by Tamara Jordan. This is one that she has versions to do a short sleeve and a long sleeve. This is a DK weight pattern with a gauge of 21 stitches by 30 rows. She uses knitting for all of Pure Silk held double and uses it with a 4 millimeter needle. The sizes are available from 28 inches to 62 inches, and I am pretty sure there's not supposed to be, yeah, so it can be worn with slightly negative ease or neutral ease at the waist. The thing I love about Tamara Jordan's patterns, I've knit one of her other patterns, the Tied and True cardigan. She pays incredible attention to fit, not just around the bust, but to the waist, to the hips, to the arms, to the shoulders. She is, when you're buying one of her patterns, you're getting almost a made to measure pattern because she just pays so much attention to getting that perfect fit. And so I know I for sure want to use this pattern. I would personally do the short sleeve version of this, and I think this pattern would be a great option for me if I do find that really beautiful pink speckled yarn that I'm looking for. I don't think that it would use very much yarn at all. She does have, there's obviously a lot of yardage listed because she is holding the knitting for all of double, but I know that one of her testers in the projects page used just a DK strand, and she has her yardage listed and she's about my same size. So I think I would only need 3 skeins of hand-dyed yarn for this one as well, because it is V-neck, so obviously using less yarn there, and could make it cropped if I needed to for that. So this is more of a, I'm for sure going to be making this, I'm just not sure when, and I need to find the right yarn to make sure that it's just the perfect overall project. The next one that I have is the Calm Down Tee by Lily Kate France. I have heard nothing but good things about Lily Kate France's patterns. Again, I've heard that she is paying a lot of attention to fit, a lot of attention to detail, and I really want to experience one of her patterns for myself. She has a fingering weight tee that I really want, and this one is the DK weight tee. So depending on what yarn I find, I will just sub one of those tees. They look pretty similar to me. But this is the Calm Down tee. This is a DK weight 21 stitches by 28 rows. And let's see, finished circumference goes from 31 inches to 63 inches. And it is a top down saddle shoulder again with a cool twisted rib on the shoulder and really just beautiful, almost structured looking tee, which I really like. So that is another option. Two more options. I have the Ivy top by Iris H by, I think her store is called H Iris Makes. And this is a fingering weight 28 stitches by 38 rows, top down, cabled lace tee. I think this would take forever to knit, but it would be worth it because it is really, really beautiful. It is a negative ease garment, and it has a finished circumference range of 26 inches to 58 inches, and it is a 4-inch negative ease. I, again, would probably go up a size or two because negative ease don't really super love. She also mentions that this tee, you need to use a yarn that has some wool content in it just because of the cables and the lace, that you do want it to stretch a little bit, especially with the negative ease. So a cotton or a merino blend would work well, something along those lines to make it more comfortable and block more beautifully. And I seriously want to make this so bad. I just know that I have to be in the right mindset for it, that it's going to take a long time because it's a 3mm needle, fingering weight, lots going on. Probably something that you have to look at the chart a lot. Maybe not, maybe you could memorize it pretty easily, but it is stunning. The final tee that I have been eyeing is the Luna Tee by Carissa. This is a fingering weight. Again, this is a broken rib raglan style sweater. It is 22.5 stitches by 36 rows, and the finished circumference range goes from around 28 inches to around 61 inches. And she does mention that if you want to knit size 9 or up, then message her and she can send you the pattern for free in exchange for feedback on those sizes, so that's nice. And I just really love, again, I think that with tees, I'm looking for that elevated look. I don't always want a t-shirt looking tee. I want something that adds a little bit of interest, that looks cool, that you can dress up if you want to, and this Luna Tee is perfect for that. It's very classy, but also just cool looking with that broken rib and the raglan, that like how clear the raglan is. It just looks so clean. And it looks like it would be fun to knit with the broken rib, although I might eat my words later. It might be a lot of broken rib to do over a whole t-shirt in fingering weight, but I do think that it looks really, really cool. And she also uses Japanese short rows. She says you can use short rows of your choice, but I've never tried Japanese short rows, so that's another opportunity for me to learn something new with this one. Okay, if you made it to the end, you have a lot of summer and spring inspiration for you for some tees. I hope that these were interesting. I hope that maybe you are making them as well. Let me know in the comments if you are planning on making any of these, and if we happen to be knitting them at the same time, that would be really fun to chat as we make them. Don't forget to also let me know what you want to cast on next. I'd love to hear. And thank you so, so much for watching. You can find me on Instagram as SavanKnits and Ravelry as well as SavanKnits. I'd love to add you as a friend on Ravelry, follow you back on Instagram, any of that. And with that, thank you for watching, and I hope you find joy in what you're knitting. Bye.